from Los Angeles, California, I'm Dr. Ryan Abba. We now have, of course, the results from the Republicans' primary for Wyoming's lone at large congressional seat. Congresswoman Liz Cheney, vice chair of January 6th committee, was, well, annihilated, as we all expected. She lost by resounding 37 points, 28.9% to 66.3%. Wyoming voters overwhelmingly rebuked Cheney, who of course stood up to Donald Trump after his insurrection, voting to impeach him and then helping to lead the committee investigation into his actions. Now, Liz Cheney has earned a lot of praise, especially in the liberal circle, for taking a stand against Trump and his attempt to end America's constitutional republic. Fellow January 6th committee member Congressman Jamie Raskin has spoken incredibly fondly about her, recently telling the New York Republic that she has acted with great honesty to confront the lies of the Trump machinery. Raskin also said about his unlikely friend, she will follow Donald Trump to the gates of hell if she needs to make sure that justice is done and the truth is known. End of quote. And there is no doubt Liz Cheney has made genuine career political sacrifices on behalf of American democracy. That was evident the night before last, almost as soon as polls closed. And what she has done is praiseworthy and important. But it's also the case that Cheney is a bone-deep reactionary or conservative to the core, and also crucially a partisan Republican. None of that has changed. And as strange as it may seem, she has, I think, taken this course of action in an attempt to save the Republican Party. Yesterday morning on the Today Show, Liz Cheney laid out her case.
Look, I think the Republican Party today is in very bad shape, and I think that we have a tremendous amount of work to do. I think it could take several election cycles, but the country has got to have a Republican Party that's actually based on substance, based on principles, based on a belief in limited government and low taxes and a strong national defense. A belief that the family has got to be the center of our community and of our lives. And those are the principles I believe in. That's what the party used to stand for. And we've got to get the party back to that.
Now, I will leave aside my own significant issue with the definition of what the party used to stand for. She omitted the torture programs, the war crimes that were championed by her father and endorsed by her from the list. But the key point here is that in her own understanding, Congresswoman Cheney is standing up to Donald Trump, not just for the sake of American democracy, but for the sake of institutional vitality and indeed the survival of the Republican Party itself. And I think she's right on this. And I think it's underappreciated how right she is by everyone. Because there is the thing that conservative party in a two-party liberal democracy like ours, which what the Republican Party is and has been, cannot continue to thrive or even exist if the MAGA authoritarian cult takes over the party or takes over. There is no space for that institution in the world in which Donald Trump is successful and in which he successfully overturns American democracy, which is to say, to save the Republican Party, you actually must save American democracy. And somehow Liz Cheney seems to be one of the only members of her party to grasp this elemental truth, or at least one of the only ones to act on it. The other Republican cowards cannot muster the same courage to do what she has done to save their own hides in the end. Instead, they have dealt with this tension between the need to preserve American democracy and their desire to win elections, return their jobs, by basically going along with whatever Donald Trump says, winking and nodding and evading sometimes, pretending they didn't even hear it. And that's basically the consensus view that appears to be the calculation that everyone from Florida Governor Ron DeSantis to Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell has made. Now, the Republican who has been the most forthright about his thinking on this actually is Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina. Graham, of course, not always a fan of Donald Trump. In fact, he has made a real huge turn since that of 2016 campaign.
Here's what I think. I think Donald Trump is a political car wreck. He's a race-baiting, xenophobic, religious bigot. He's a jack. Donald Trump is not strong. He's actually weak. He's a bully. He's a cartoon character. Donald Trump is the most unelectable Republican I've seen in my lifetime. He shouldn't be commander-in-chief. He's destroying the party. There'll be a generation before we can overcome this. Maybe never. You know how you make America great again? Tell Donald Trump to go to hell.
Now, Lindsey Graham, to his credit, has been very honest about why he has come around about Trump. This is what he said at a right-wing pro-Trump summit just last month.
If you think Trump is bad for the party, I disagree with you. I think President Trump is good for the party. And let me tell you why. President Trump has gotten people who wouldn't give me or Romney or anybody else the time of day. They believe that he is on their side. I'm trying to move toward a strong America, and he's the vehicle to get us there.
Now, this is really interesting because actually, if you look at the earlier clips of Lindsey Graham and the latter ones, he's making the same argument. It's just about what Donald Trump does to the Republican Party. At first, he thought he was bad for the Republican Party. Now, he has become convinced he's good. The argument is basically more or less the same. What are you going to do? The base loves him. And in the short term, to win elections for the Republican Party, Lindsey Graham is correct. The math just does not work for the Republicans in this election or the 1 or 2 year after this. To achieve reliable broad victories without Donald Trump and his supporters, it just doesn't work. But Graham and everyone who toes that line, they don't seem to have thought through what happens next. So you win some elections, maybe you get power. What happens if Trump and his people win? These are people who are, by their own word, fundamentally opposed to the American system. What happens if you have people who think Hugo Chavez ghost hack voting machines and the Chinese snuck in bamboo paper to steal an election? What happens when you have them running our elections? And we are close to that. We are on the edge of that under Lindsey Graham's strategy. And that's what's going to happen if he's right. People will come out and vote for them. What happens when that succeeds? When Trump succeeds? What happens when Trump succeeds where January 6th barely failed? I'll tell you what happens, and I think Liz Cheney would agree. The Republican Party, the thing that we know as that, will not be preserved. Donald Trump, if Donald Trump succeeds in his project of destroying American democracy, it will succeed in creating something entirely new, something very ugly, and let me tell you, incredibly unpredictable. And it will not be a world I would be willing to bet in which people like Lindsey Graham or Mitch McConnell or a lot of others like him would thrive. Liz Cheney seems to be just about the only person in the party who recognizes this at a cellular level. Keep in mind, she is not a liberal in any way or shape or form. She is a solid right-wing Republican. She was number 3 in House leadership. She voted in line with Donald Trump even more than Lindsey Graham voted with Trump. Just in about every step of the way, even while he was essentially kidnapping children. She was with him until he tried to topple America's constitutional republic. Watching him attempt to assassinate the American democracy made she realize that you cannot keep the tiger on the leash because he will eat you. She realized there is no future with Donald Trump. Even for her most selfish political institutional interest, the Republican Party to which she is an heir. What would there be left to rule except a kingdom of ashes if Trump is successful in his project. And if enough of her colleagues have realized it too, if they had the fortitude and the courage Liz Cheney has, they might have been able to do something about it. They had a moment. They could have collectively struck when they had the opportunity during the second impeachment to vote and convict, to bar him from future office. I don't think we would be in this situation had they done that. But they were cowards. They were all cowards. And so Liz Cheney is alone. And we are going to see, all of us are going to see, how Lindsey Graham's strategy. To support my work, please click the subscribe, the like button, and the notification bell so you wouldn't miss any of my new videos.